Hi, everybody. Good evening. Welcome to EduTALK. EduTALK is a virtual talk show created out of the need for a global learning community. And we focus on topics in education that directly impact our different nations up in the diaspora. And we feature people who are actually making waves in education, as well as in educational initiatives and parents. This evening, we have with us our guest, a special guest, Ana Rodriguez, and she is the author of the book Empowering Parenting: How Your Childhood Shapes Your Parenting Style and the Tools to Become a Nurturing Parent. She is also a social educator and a program manager in a nonprofit. Welcome, Anna, to EduTalk. It's good to have you.
Thank you so much, Dwayne, for having me here. I'm
Yes.
honored. Thank you.
For our viewership, your background is Colombian. You're from Colombia
Yes.
and
Mhm.
you're living in the US, in the eastern part of the US and working. Can you tell us a
Correct.
little bit about you so that we can, build some context here?
Of course, of course. So I'm a social educator at heart. I came from Colombia when I was 14 years old, not knowing what I would endure in this country and all the, challenges I would face. But I did build a lot of resilience, right? Learning a new language, learning a new culture, the divorce of my parents, that's ultimately why we decided to stay here with my mom. So my older brother, my mom, and I. My
Mhm.
dad stayed in Colombia. So all of this, challenges did, it was pretty harsh on the family, but again, building that resiliency. And I did my bachelor's in social psychology and
Mhm.
then did my master's in education. And so when I finished my bachelor's, I did my internship at a nonprofit as a hotline, a domestic violence hotline counselor. And
Oh.
then I became a child counselor in
Mhm.
the DV program. And so I started, noticing the cycles of violence and how the cycle would repeat itself.
And
And
this
that's,
is domestic violence, basically, in the home.
yes, exactly. And so that's a little bit about me. I became very passionate about this topic and empowering and supporting families that were going through this very, challenging times.
Yes, yes. And I just want to remind viewers too that they can relate to you in Spanish too, because I want you to express in Spanish, even though I know very little, like a tiny bit of Spanish, but we're here for people and to educate.
Sí.
Yes.
Sí,
Um,
Duen me dio el permiso de hablar en español también, así que soy de Colombia, educo, me encanta y me apasiona el tema de romper ciclos malsanos, entonces pues para eso estoy aquí, para hablar del tema.
all right, okay. Good. Um, No, talk about, so you mentioned that you have experienced some of this when you talk about not so much the really ridiculous violence that happened in some of
Ujú.
homes that cause students to be just off the edge, so to speak, and sometimes it's very difficult to pull them back into reality and normalcy. Give us a little bit more about your experience that caused you to focus more on the topic of empowering parents.
Yeah, so I was telling you I started my career in the domestic violence program. And so
Yeah.
working with children, I saw how frustrating it was for them to be in a home that they had no control over, and them not knowing how to verbalize that to the caregivers, and the caregivers feeling very powerless,
Mm-hmm.
in front of this challenge, this barrier. They didn't have the words to actually have a healing conversation, whether or not they decided to stay in the unhealthy relationship, because there are many factors, right, why someone does stay in
Yeah.
an abusive relationship. And so when talking with the parents, I would hear very often that they didn't feel the right to heal. They didn't have the tools, they didn't have the resources. They saw it in their childhood. So again, seeing that cycle. And I would just listen. When we would talk about like the patterns and what an unhealthy relationship was, they started to understand, and it was like that aha moment for them.
Mhm.
They were living in it, but didn't realize how unhealthy it was for themselves and also for their kids, and how much power they actually had to change that, to change
Absolutely.
their future, to start healing. I then started supervising after school programs for children and youth.
Yeah.
And it had nothing to do with TV, but then in schools, I also started seeing TV patterns.
Yeah.
And working with high school students, I saw a lot of frustration and a lot of aggression. And
Mhm.
when you take the time to connect with a teenager, they open up to you,
Yes.
and you hear the stories of how dysfunctional can their homes can be,
Yeah.
those dysfunctional dynamics that they lived in. And so I started seeing the cycle with the kids that exhibited aggression. I got to meet their parents, and I saw the same type of behavior, right? The
Yeah.
way they express themselves. And
Yes.
then I got to meet grandparents as well, and it was kind of the same dynamic.
Oh, wow.
And that's what propelled me to write the book, because I saw, so they're living in the cycle continues to repeat itself, but they're not really noticing that it is. And it kind of lessens, I do think, sometimes. And so it can still be a very abusive behavior, but compared to perhaps our grandparents,
Mm-hmm.
it's not physical violence, like, I'm not beating you to death, or, you're not bleeding, so you're good. Uh, and so, still making that comparison, and still saying and acknowledging that it's still abuse, and there is still
Yeah.
something that we need to do to break the
And
cycle.
it's a lot of verbal abuse um
Mm-hmm.
from them, even though they're not getting physical beating anymore. It's
Yeah.
prevalent in many society now, even in America here, student kids are getting abused, both physically, but more so verbally. And
Yeah.
the other abuse like sexual abuse, trauma, and so on. So yeah, it's relevant. You're really in a relevant area there for us to
Mm-hmm.
highlight some of the things that are happening around us. That's very good.
Yeah.
So then you work among about how many years have you worked in this field and seen the dynamics and starting to realize that, oh, this is not me overthinking this about these families.
Yeah.
This is actually happening.
Yeah. 10 years now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And interesting enough, when I started working in this field, and not too long ago, I having conversation with my family,
Yeah.
I realized there's a lot of DV in in my family, like
Wow.
in our ancestors, grandparents, parents.
Mhm.
And
So,
so,
viewers, let me say this. Yeah, when Anna mentions VD, it's actually sorry, DV is
uh-huh.
domestic violence.
Yes,
DV is domestic violence.
DV, yes.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Yes.
All right. You were saying that some of this you can actually see it in the remnants of your family through the history. I too, when I look at back in my family too, I see some level of domestic violence, and they don't really count it as in Jamaica, they don't really count it as
Mm-hmm.
domestic violence. They said that, oh, then we needed to discipline them, and those people need discipline. So
Mm-hmm.
they physically abuse them, or and also the verbally abuse come with it as well. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's a way to look at it in a different way, because I have a daughter that I've never laid my hand on, and I would say to her,
Hmm.
can you do this or can you do that? Do you know the importance of it, and so on? And we talk like normal people, and she
Yeah.
gets what I'm saying. I don't have
Yeah.
to raise my voice at her, even though sometimes she said that you seem very serious and stern, and sometimes you seem like you want to scream at me. But yeah, well, I said, I've never screamed at you. I'm serious about some things in life and I need you to get.
Yeah.
And she said, yeah, I
Yeah.
know, I know. But
That's so
yeah,
sweet.
sometimes it's escalated. Yeah. Let's talk about the book, because I
Kudos to
really
you
don't.
for breaking the cycle.
I'm gonna show you this the Spanish cover first for people to see what you
Sí.
have done.
Esa es
Uh,
mi copia en español para nuestra audiencia hispanohablante. Hablo de cómo romper el ciclo y entonces el libro es bien cortico para que se lo puedan leer en una hora y media y proveo muchas herramientas y la idea es identificar si ustedes vienen de una familia donde hubo una dinámica disfuncional, darles las herramientas y darles esa lucecita de esperanza que ustedes se merecen sanar y ustedes pueden cambiar su historia y la de sus hijos. Entonces, pues este es el libro.
yes, 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 see.
Ujú,
All right, so let's talk a little bit about so you mentioned I want to talk a little bit about the format that you created for this book and more
ujú.
about the inspiration behind before we talk about because I don't want you to give away everything in the book. I want people to
Of course.
go out and buy it because it's very good. It's very good.
Yeah.
I read
Thank you.
through the what do you call it, the overview and so on, and I think
Mm,
it's really rich for people to actually see what you're communicating to them, especially
ujú,
parents. um
ujú,
all right, so what's the I know you talk about seeing the um disparities among families with
ujú,
abuse, and it propelled you to write in the book. What
ujú.
inspiration, more so on a deeper level, that you have for this book, for it to reach families?
It's knowing how resilient we can become. Is knowing that there is hope for us to change our behaviors, those behaviors that harm us and our children.
Mm-hmm.
Is knowing that we do have a lot of power in our hands if we build a support system, if we seek the right resources, and if we allow ourselves to take that brave step of being happy and really healing. And it might be the most uncomfortable thing we do because talking about our past traumas can really be difficult. We don't want to talk about our past. We don't want to talk about our parents or grandparents. We kind of bury it. But it is necessary to acknowledge it, to put it where it belongs, but to be able to process it with someone who's going to guide you. If we find someone that's not being too helpful with their words, we have the right to stop, not share any more information, and go to a professional or a support group where people share similar experiences and stories. Um,
Yeah,
in the book, I talk about that. You know, sometimes we feel alone in our experiences. We think that we're the only ones who've lived through this, and the reality is that a lot of people share these experiences, and we want to break that, right? Because we pass on traumas, and the idea of this book is to pass on resiliency because it is possible. Neurologically, we have that potential and that power to change.
mm-hmm. Very, very well said. The resilience. I like the fact that you focus on human resilience, to make changes and to pass on something that is more productive and positive in the lives of our kids, basically, because that is what is going to, there's no way we can pass on something. And
Mhm.
we always pass it on, so might as well we do the right thing, pass it on. All right,
Yeah.
give us a little bit about the content in it. Just right
Sure.
through, nits, just snippets, basically, of
Snippets, snippets.
snippets. Yes. Okay.
um, so you'll be able to find like what is considered a dysfunctional family because sometimes we come from it, but we don't know what it looks like, or we just don't know if we really do become from dysfunctional family dynamics. So really mentioning what a family, dysfunctional family dynamic looks like, what it is, its impact on you, and the consequences, right, from growing up in this type of environment, how to start healing, right, because the healing process is a lengthy one, but how to start healing, how to start building that resiliency, how to adapt to that resiliency because it might be a you know a new concept for you. It might also feel very new in your body, and your body might reject it. Maybe if you're implementing those healthy changes. So, you know, just implementing those little by little. How do you connect your behavior right now as an adult and as a parent with your childhood? Because sometimes there's that disconnect, and it's really, whoa, I hadn't realized that my kid is triggering things from my childhood. How
Mhm.
do I connect it? How do I start healing? What is toxic stress and how do we buffer it? Because maybe we are in that unhealthy relationship because that's all we know, right? It feels familiar. But how do I then buffer that toxic stress for my child until I'm able to heal and hopefully leave that unhealthy relationship?
Mhm.
Also, how to start gaining control over your emotions. As we know, sometimes we deal with those very strong emotions and we feel that emotions are taking control over us and our behavior. So, how to really start gaining that control because you do have that power.
Mhm.
How do you, you know, how are you parenting? Are you parenting the way you were parented? Or
Yeah.
are you doing the complete opposite and perhaps being a bit too permissive because you don't want your child to feel like you're projecting. You know, sometimes we project to our kids and we're like, no, we're gonna protect them from all pain, but it is not always healthy to protect them from all kind of stressors because they do need that to build that resiliency and those life skills.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I talk about that, and also, you know, lastly, I provide tools on how to become a more objective, more conscious
Yeah.
parent and nurturing.
Yeah. What? Yeah, that's powerful, powerful stuff. Um, the what did you go through while you're writing it? What in terms of emotions and the mindset that you were in while you're writing it?
Oof, a lot of hope. I'm Christian, so I always prayed before starting writing to the Holy Spirit because I really wanted, although I wanted it to be easy digestible for people
Yeah.
to just because it can be such a broad and difficult topic to talk about trauma.
Yes.
I felt that I wanted to bring it in a very digestible way. And feeling, you know, sometimes you feel not professional enough to actually talk to someone about these topics, but then grounding myself in children have shared with me so many stories, and I know the children want their parents to heal so
Mm-hmm.
that they don't pass on the same pain to
Yeah.
them because
Yeah.
they feel it's their fault that there is chaos in
Yeah.
their homes. So
Yeah.
those were my feelings. That's what really grounded me. And thinking about my mom gives me permission of sharing her story. She comes from a violent household,
Yeah.
and she carried a lot of trauma with her, and she didn't go to therapy until she was over 50. She
Wow.
felt really uncomfortable, but then she said it was the best thing I could have done. There were some things that I had normalized that I didn't know. I didn't know, and I also didn't know that it wasn't my fault.
Yeah, I'm
Imagine that
telling
over
you.
50,
It's
then
yeah,
realize that, oh my God, the domestic
yeah.
violence that I lived at home wasn't my fault.
Yeah, yeah. No,
Yeah.
you're really saying some really accurate things here pertaining to the family stories because I've had conversation with so many people and I'm telling them that these are some of the things that they normalize and it's just it's not it's not really the best thing for them and
Yeah.
the emotional and physical stress that they even have in themselves in the back of their neck and their backs and
Oof,
so
yeah.
on. Yeah, they walk around with these stress day after day, and they can't get rid of it because of
Mm-hmm.
the trauma that they have lived through, experience, and then lived through, and then try to pass on to the families. When you talk to
Mm-hmm.
people about it, what are their reaction to the maybe the story in the book or the concept of them um grappling with this idea of trauma and leaning in to accept the fact that they have this in themselves and they
Mm-hmm.
need to deal with this because it's a personal thing. What are their reaction?
I've gotten great feedback. They're very thankful that I created something so digestible and for 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 me to be able to bring this awareness, because this is where it starts, right? This is just bringing awareness of, there are so many other books that really dive deep on what trauma is and how to process those traumas, and the supports, professional supports, but they thank me for creating this book and in the way I carry it. And they often share, yeah, I experienced it in my childhood. Now I'm struggling. That's what I hear very often. I struggle how to parent my child.
Yeah, yeah.
And also because the family dynamic is so unhealthy already. When
Mhm.
they're the brave ones to say, I'm breaking the cycle, I don't want my child to experience these unhealthy behaviors and patterns, the
Mhm.
family doesn't always agree because they
Yeah.
see it as gentle parenting in a way that it's permissive parenting, and it's not permissive.
Mhm.
They see it as you're not disciplining your child. That's why they're being so rude to you. You can
Yeah.
allow them to do that. So it becomes a conflict.
Yeah, 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 for
Yeah.
real. I see that happening in the school
Yeah.
a lot where, yeah, you confront parents about certain things like this because you're observing it in their child and you're telling them that or asking them that they need
Mm-hmm.
to just pay attention to this in their child, and they're saying nope, nope, no, you can't tell me how to raise my kid, and I'm sending them here to get educated, and you're telling me
Mm-hmm.
what is wrong. Nothing is wrong with them. He needs to pay attention, or she needs to pay attention in class, or you need to do your job and just teaching them and so on, and it goes south really quickly.
It
But
does. Thank you for
yeah,
bringing that up. I do
yeah.
think, and that's another reason why I wanted to create the book, because oftentimes parents don't feel that, and it can be many like factors or way to see it. Parents might think, okay, my children go to school, I don't have to be connected or involved in what they do there.
Mm-hmm.
Or as you know, there are many parenting styles. So we have that spectrum of parents being neglectful and abusive and not really caring because they're struggling with their own selves, right? They're going through their own process.
Mm-hmm.
Children at the moment is not their priority. And then we have these parents that don't have the tools, so they trust the professionals to do it. Or if they take their kid to a therapy session, they're like, oh, fix them. They started
Yeah,
misbehaving. It's all you. Good luck. I'm
yeah,
gonna
yeah.
wait here in the waiting area. And it's not that. It's you have the power. The idea is for professionals to really connect,
Mm.
because I do believe that we're stronger together.
Yes,
And parents, to me, they're the most important adult in the kid's life.
yes,
And
yes.
so they can be in therapy, right? And we can teach the child all these life skills. But if they're not being reinforced at home,
Yes.
that can really go down the drain.
Oh my
So,
goodness. That is so true. That is very,
yeah.
yeah. Because the home is the first school, and if you start treating them indifferently, then they're going to realize that this is normal. This is how I'm supposed to be. It's very few people come out of that and say, this is not normal. The way that I was raised is not normal. And the things that I
Hmm.
endured is not normal. Normal people shouldn't have to go through that. And I have to seek help. And it takes a big heart and deep thinking mind to say, I need help. I need to change.
Hmm.
I personally, yeah. Um, do you have a type of what do you call it, workbook that is spinning out of this so that parents
I
and
would love to create one.
yeah,
I don't
you
have
need to
one.
you need to create one because while I'm thinking I'm
Thank you.
listening to you because I work in education and all up and down the ladder of education from leadership downwards and upwards to teaching, and I'm thinking that as much as parents need to have a workbook where they reflect and write, or having a workshop where you can distribute the workbook, and
Hmm.
teachers also should be able to work through some of these and say, yeah, I experienced this, or my students are experienced this, how do I help them,
Yeah.
and it's in there that they can reflect on it and create some strategies to actually help themselves from the content that you provide.
Yeah. Thank you so much. That's a great idea. I'm gonna put it in
Yeah.
my task list.
Yeah, yeah. All right, we're winding down.
Yeah.
Have I missed anything that we need to highlight? Because I'm thinking, because while you're talking, I'm personally reflecting on my own story and the
Hmm.
people I've met over the years. and how I can help them to actually find healing, you know? So I want to find out if you have additional information relating to this. And then I'm going to ask you to share where people can find your book in the Spanish
Yeah.
version, and if you can tell people in Spanish as well where they can find it, and in English, wherever. So, yeah, final thoughts.
Final thoughts. Thank you so much for bringing me here. You can find me. I've been creating a lot of content on social media, Instagram, soon
Mhm.
in TikTok. I think I'm not a fan of social media. However, I do realize how powerful it can be. It's a powerful tool,
Yeah, yeah, you
and
need it
you
to
can
live.
create like, yeah, it's, like short videos, digestible. So I am starting to create a lot of content there. I'll give you the
Yeah, yeah.
information. My book, and then my book can be found on Amazon and also Barnes and Noble. So if you Google it, it'll be there. Amazon, it'll be there, and soon I'll have it in Audible. So I know
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
easier for people to sometimes to listen than to read a book.
Yeah, yeah, me too. I listen to audiobooks because I'm on the train coming and going to work, and it's easy to just plug in your headset and listen to stuff.
Absolutely.
So it's on Amazon, and it's
Yes.
also on Barnes and Noble website, and
Barnes and Noble,
what?
yes.
Yeah, and the book is called this is the title of the book, Empowered Parenting: How Your
It is
Childhood
empowered parenting.
Shapes Yeah, your childhood shapes your parenting style, and tools, also tools to become a nurturing parent. We all need this, whether you're doing a good job or you think you're
Mhm.
doing a good job. We all need this. I find it very fulfilling when I listen to you talk about it, and I haven't dived deeply into it yet, but I will get my copy and showcase it.
Mhm.
Yeah. Also,
Thank
it's
you so much.
yeah. Can you d- do it in the same thing you just
En
did in Spanish?
español.
So, yeah, in español.
Claro que sí.
Sí.
Mi libro está disponible en Amazon y en Barnes Noble. Y también tengo una página de Instagram donde comparto muchas herramientas, muchos videos, que comparto más acerca del tema del libro y tips de crianza. Entonces me pueden seguir por ahí. Y próximamente también estaré más activa en TikTok. Le compartí acá al doctor Dwayne que yo no soy muy fanática de las redes, pero conozco que es una herramienta muy poderosa para compartir este contenido digerible, entonces por ahí me pueden encontrar.
Yes, sí, sí. Good, good job. Bueno.
I don't know
Bueno.
if you'll post my social media, but my social media, mi Instagram es empowered,
Mhm.
como empowered, el libro,
Oh,
punto
okay. All right. Yeah.
family.
Sí, sí.
Family. And so in
Oh,
English, my Instagram is empowered.family. So the book is
yeah.
called Empowered Parenting. My Instagram is called empowered.family.
Okay, okay, okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I'll follow also. And you'll have a few people to in the coming weeks that will follow.
Mm-hmm.
And you post do you post like little like quotes from the book every now and then on social media?
I'm starting. I'm starting to, and I've
Yeah.
been, and mostly my content is in Spanish, but as you know, I'm revising. That's another thing. I'm
Yeah.
revising the copy in English. I should be
Yes.
releasing it in early October.
Yes, yes.
And the idea is to create content in English as well. So we'll replicate it in both languages.
Yes, yes, that's very good. Very
Mhm.
good because it's right across the Caribbean and Central and South America as well that
Mhm.
we all need this. It's very good. It's from one of us.
Mhm.
It's from one of
That
us.
is true. I'm so
Yeah.
honored. So, so honored. Qué
Anna,
placer conocerlos a todos.
yeah,
I
go
was
on.
just saying thank you to your audience in Spanish.
Sí, sí,
Gracias
go.
por darse la oportunidad de sanar. Léanse el libro, déjenme saber qué opinan. Me encanta estar acá y ser parte de este maravilloso programa.
See, see, yeah, yeah. Thank you so much. And I'm gonna engage you some more to do some of these things as we in my capacity of work across the Caribbean and the rest of the world too in the diaspora. I encounter a lot of people who really need help, and I think this is very good for family because we need the bottom line is the basic foundation of society is family. And if the family
Mhm.
is being abused or damaged in any way, then that's going to have a ripple effect throughout society. So we need
Correct.
to protect the family as much as,
Absolutely. At all
yeah,
cost.
at all cost. Yeah. Thank you so much. And
Thank you.
I wish you all the best in your writing endeavors, as well as your work that you're doing.
Thank
Viewers,
you.
thank you so much for being on. I hope you learned something from this. And if you want additional information, please visit our website at edusolutionsintl.org. That's edusolutionsintl.org. You can also write to us at edusolutionsintl@gmail.com. That's edusolutionsintl@gmail.com. And you can pick up your copy of the book. The book is called Empowered Parenting: How Your Child Shapes Your Parenting Style and the Tools to Become a Nurturing Parent. And it's available in Spanish, and it will be available in English coming
Mhm.
in this October 2024. That's October 2024. You'll see it in both languages. Right now, it's in Spanish. So all
Mhm.
Spanish speakers and even the people who said, "Oh, I know a little bit of Spanish," well, go out and get your copy, and you can even
Mhm.
practice learning Spanish um, as well as reading this book and get familiar with parenting style that can help you and your family. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for listening, and have a great week ahead. We'll see you next week with another edition of EduTalk. Bye, everybody.